day 3.
Yeah, we had Doomsday 1. We came from one of the toughest areas of Phoenix, both defensively and offensively.
On the defense, talking about it. You better get your ass the ball. You better get the ball.
I just gotta say, when it comes to former Dallas,
Different.
For sure, and they would have thrown it off because
And this guy gets off you.
And I go to bed every night. Gee, man, I promise you that we got a special What is up, Cowboys Nation? Boy, Mike Tag here with Kelly K9. We're going to get this thing started. Again, if you guys are just tuning in, make sure you hit that subscribe. Make sure you hit that thumbs up as you're rolling in or rolling out. Whenever time is, man, just make sure you hit that like. And obviously, if you're watching on X or any other social media platform, always hit that share. Share it on the platforms, man. We love the support. Love the growth of the channel has been great, but obviously it won't be done. You know, we can't do it without you guys. So definitely do it. And, you know, I never got a message from my man Cuts. So Cuts, if you're going to be in the chat, make sure you give me a holler if you need me to throw that link in there. So I know you've been working on some stuff and maybe want to reveal it. So we'll get that rolling. But Kelly, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. And, you know, the weather's nice outside, man. I'm enjoying summer and I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good.
Yeah. Well, I want to say a quick story and a shout out to my man Dan. And just quick funny story, and it's just crazy how we've grown, Kelly. And sometimes you got people who follow you and enjoy the channel, and you don't even know it. But my brother does a service. He offers a service. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but if you love football and love sports, it's a great service. And so he gets signs up people and this and that, and anytime my brother is probably our biggest promoter. Anyone who's a Cowboy fan, he always promotes a channel, whether it be through eBay or through this. And he was setting someone up, and he said, "You love football, right?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I love the Cowboys." He goes, "Hey, make sure you check out the Cowboys Cave." And the guy's like, "Cowboys Cave?" He goes, "Yeah, my brother, he's on the Cowboys Cave. He does hype videos, and him and Kelly got a show and this and that." He goes, "Man, you got to be shitting me." And he pulls up his phone and he starts playing the video. He goes, "I don't have nothing on I got 4 things on my phone, and the Cowboys Cave is one of them." And he was so pumped up. My brother's like, "Hey, you want me to call him?" So he goes, "Yeah." So we talked for a little bit. My brother called me up, and he lives right in Tampa. He lives just up the road. And my brother is funny because the wife texts him later, goes, "Man, he's still smiling. He's still having he's still all excited." So give a shout out to Dan supporting the Cave. And like I said, man, we're all over and love to hear stories like that, man. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Love the support, man. You got, keep spreading the word, but the word was already spread to Dan. So thanks for tuning in, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and all you guys that are new to the channel, just to reiterate, we've done some great interviews. We got some more coming up during this downtime. So always look back, man. You look at the playlist. We got our interviews, man. There's some great stories, good memories, and sometimes it's just funny to go back there and listen to them one more time. I do it every now and then. So definitely check out the interviews with a lot of great players. But wanted to get into this, Kelly. It's a slow time. There's not a lot going on. So, some of this stuff is either the media for clicks or is it legitimate? And, you and I were talking before the show, and the Cowboys this season, it is polarizing. It's kind of feast or famine.
Yeah.
And, Yahoo Sports, they're unveiling every day their power rankings. And the Cowboys' turn was up. And lo and behold, the Cowboys are 18th in the power rankings. And let me just tell you, I focused on NFC only. I didn't focus on the AFC.
Yeah.
So they put them 11th out of 16 teams. The only teams that they were ahead of, the Cardinals were behind them, the Falcons, the
Panthers.
Giants, the Panthers, and the Saints.
I was going to say Panthers got to be behind us. Yeah, that seems pretty low.
So I mean, are they clicking? Are they fishing for reaction? Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm trying to throw some teams out there. Is you got the Bears? You got the Bears. They got them ranked ahead of you. Minnesota, who's now starting JJ McCarthy, right? They got rid of their guy. They're ahead of them. You've got obviously the Buccaneers ahead of them. You've got who else do we have out in the West? San Francisco, who seems to be, retooling and taking a step back. They're ahead of them. The Rams ahead of them. So, I mean, we did their too early schedule thing. I mean, what's your first reaction when you hear this is where they got?
Well, honestly, when it all comes down to it, I kind of like it, man. It's been a while, man, that I can remember since the Cowboys were like an underdog going into the season. I feel like the Cowboys have been one of the teams that people talk about is going to contend for the NFC East pretty much every year for about the last 5 years, really, honestly. I mean, honestly, actually, since Dak has been the quarterback, really, since 2016, the Cowboys have been one of the top 2 favorites to win the NFC East. And so, and every year, obviously, we've seen them kind of come up short. Obviously, we won the NFC East a few times during that span, but it's kind of nice actually to have all these people that are doubting the Cowboys. It's kind of nice to have them. It's people were uh, people are prisoners of the moment, though. I think a lot of times where it's hard to shake off what we saw last season. But when you put last season into perspective, so many injuries. And it starts with Dak Prescott. If you don't have your starting quarterback in the NFL, unless you have a superstar unbeknownst to you sitting behind him at the number 2 position, backup quarterback position, you're going to have a pretty rough season. And when you combine that with the fact that not only did we have that, I mean, I think that I lost count of how many injuries there were last year. I mean, it was just an onslaught of injuries, whether it's your number 2 wide receiver going down, whether it's one of your best linebackers going down and overshown, whether it's Micah Parsons rolling through some injuries, whether it's DeMarcus Lawrence basically not playing for almost a whole year. I mean, there was so many people that were injured last year. So I think if you kind of take that out of it, and can put yourself back and step back and look at the talent that's on this roster, it's just really hard for me to see the Cowboys being that low down the totem pole. 18 out of 32 teams, even if you put the AFC in there, that's at the bottom half of the league. And I don't buy that. I don't think that the Cowboys are a bottom half of the league team this year. And I know there's some question marks. We've got some question marks, and I know there's a new head coach and this and that, all that other stuff. But I look at that schedule and I just don't see it.
Yeah, we're going to get into some of these question marks and some of their concerns, and seeing everyone in the chat, definitely want your opinion. And we're seeing, a lot of people don't agree with it. My man Danny, I don't know if this is the Dan that I was just talking about, but it's new chat that's crazy. It's got to be for engagement, like the top QB list. We're going to get into the QB list a little bit as well, because that has been all over the place as well. And looking at this is what's interesting to me, Kelly, is you talked about last season, and it was, trouble from the start, right? I mean, we start with the whole running back situation and how that worked out. That kind of set the tone for the disaster that was, and obviously all the injuries. But the Yahoo Sports, who gave Dallas a ranked 18th, gave their offseason a B, which that's pretty good, above average. I mean, that's free agency, who you gained and who you lost, and it's the draft. And, obviously the free agent guys that we talked about, the draft, I think a lot of people felt really good coming out of the draft. And then also, by the way, you get George Pickens. So now you really set your offense up to be dangerous. And so looking at that, the other flip side of it is if you go by Vegas does not like Dallas. 7.5 is their over under on wins. They're favorite of their 17 games right now. They're favored in 6 of them. Last year at this time, the Cowboys were favored in every game but one. And Prescott is, I'm telling you, if you got a couple bucks, you want to throw $10 on it, ain't a bad bet, is 40-1 for MVP. So they give the offseason a lot of positivity, but I don't know if they're just getting sucked into what Vegas is saying, because that's what they talked about a lot, is not a believer. And is the offensive line better? So that was their big question mark, was the offensive line and coaching, which I know someone put in, getting a new coach. So when you kind of bottle all of that up, I mean, what do you make of their offseason grade, first of all? And you guys in the chat, I mean, would you give them a B? Is that fair?
I think so. I think probably the George Pickens move pushed him to a B. I think before that it was probably a C. And I think George Pickens probably moved him to the B grade. Obviously they didn't do anything at the running back position, outside of some guys that, signing some guys that don't really turn heads. I saw something today there was an article today where the Cowboys said we're looking to upgrade at the running back position still. So I keep hearing about that. So they must not be 100% confident on that running back position, kind of like a lot of us have questioned it as well. So, yeah, I don't disagree with that grade. I think a B is probably right on par for what they did this year. No.
And if you get a B and you won 7 games without your quarterback, without your best defensive player, without
and that's what I was.
That's what I'm just trying to figure. And I know the schedule's harder. But we talked about it a little bit, and I want to get your opinion, Kelly, and get you guys in the chat. So the Cowboys, we all agree, have a pretty tough schedule. So let's say they sweep the Giants, which is realistic, and let's just be nice and say they split with Washington and Philly. That puts them at 4 wins. Now, they play the Jets. I think you got to feel pretty good about that. That's 5 wins. You play the Bears early. I think they're a better team. That's 6 wins. You play the Panthers. That's 7 wins. You play the Cardinals. You play the Vikings. Obviously, you got the Lions. You got the Raiders. You got the Chargers. I mean, you see how it kind of goes it's not far-fetched to think this team should win double digits.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that, like I said, I mean, I don't see them being with the talent on the team, and I always have said that if you've got a top 10 quarterback, you're going to win a lot of games. And Dak is a top 10 quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. It's a top 10 quarterback. That automatically elevates your team into into the conversation to be one of the better teams in the NFL. And I understand that, that there's still defense to be played. And if the Cowboys are allowing, 200 plus yards a game on defense, teams to be able to run the ball down our throats, then that's going to have an effect on how many games we win, because, obviously it's not a good thing. Right. But in terms of offensively, I think this team's going to be all right. I think they will add another piece to the running back position, and I think that position we'll be feeling a little bit better about it when we go into the season. But I think the offense is actually going to be pretty good. I think the offensive line is going to take a jump this year. I've been saying that. That was kind of like my bold prediction. I made on Twitter. I'd tweeted out and said, "Hey, what's a bold prediction?" My bold prediction is the Cowboys are going to have a top 5 offensive line unit this year. And I think if they are top 5 in the league offensive line, that's going to make for Dak Prescott to sit back there and just pick defenses apart with that passing game, and it's going to make that running game improve drastically. I remember several years ago when we got Darren McFadden from the Raiders, and I mean I think he had a 1,300 yard season behind that offensive line, because the offensive line was so good that a guy like that could go. So if that offensive line takes the leap that I think they will, this offense will be really good. Now what we're looking for is the defense. Is the defense going to regress from what we saw last year? Because last year, obviously, they had a ton of injuries, so it was really kind of hard to really get a feel for what that defense was last year. Did lose Jordan Lewis in the cornerback game. That is going to hurt. I mean, I can't deny that. But Eberflus, you've pointed to it, that Eberflus, what he has done with defenses and how he has elevated teams that have had bad run defenses, and literally in his first year taken them, towards that upper half part of the league. If Eberflus can do that with some of the talent that he had on some of these other teams, I mean, Michael Parsons was talking about it not that long ago, that that him and Eberflus were talking. Eberflus is excited because he said this is the most talented defensive group that he's got his hands on and been able to work with. So you combine all those things together, and none of the math adds up in terms of us being 18th, or the fact that I don't think that we can win 7.5 games. And usually Vegas is pretty smart. Usually if Vegas says something, then I'm kind of like, yeah, Vegas tends to know. But then again, Vegas ain't always right. We all know that. Everybody that bets, everybody that gambles, Vegas ain't always right. I just feel that 7.5 is way too low. I feel like if you were gonna, I would feel it should be closer to 8.5 for the Cowboys. Honestly, I feel another game. I should be 8.5 if I was Vegas. I'd feel a little bit more comfortable about that, because right now I feel like at 7.5, Vegas just giving away money.
I do, and it just, even I said it before, like even after the Pickens trade, it stayed at 7.5. I think some might have it up to 8.5, but I think Bet MGM still had it at 7.5. So I think it's like, I'm just looking at this team and I'm like, how could it possibly, they can't win 8 games at minimum? It would blow my mind. It'd blow my mind. Looking at, you talk about the offensive line, and I couldn't agree more. I think people are underestimating this offensive line, and they're so focused early. And early they struggled. I mean, Dak Prescott, one of the reasons he probably got hurt is he got sacked a bunch early on, and he got hit a lot, and they struggled tremendously. But they got better as the year went on. And now you added depth. You obviously got Booker first, top guard in the draft, and he looks like he's as good as advertised, right? So they're going to be stronger, to me, with the offensive line, just with depth and talent that they have. So I expect them to be better. Now, this is a run offensive line. They want to run the football. Steele's not the best at pass protection. Guyton, you got to hope he takes a jump, right? But this isn't an offensive line that's built to drop back 40 times. There's probably not a lot of offensive lines that are built that way anyway. So this is a team that wants to maul you. They want to be physical, and that's the way they got to do it. So hopefully the mindset of the team and what the coach is saying is running the football. But looking at the running backs, do you have and you guys in the chat, what's your confidence level from 1 to 10 on our running game today?
The thing is that if the offensive line takes the jump that I think that they're going to take, then I think this running back crew is going to be all right. I think it'll be all right. I think, it's going to be a running back by committee. I don't think we got a bell cow. I don't think we have a guy that we're going to depend on that's going to be getting, the majority of the carries, taking the healthy workload. I think it's going to be, you're going to see, 5 to 10 carries from Javonte. I think you're going to see, I think you're going to see same about 5 in the neighborhood of 5 to 8 maybe from Blue, and then I think honestly I think that you're going to mix in some Miles Sanders, just because I've been hearing that he's actually been kind of turning some heads in the early OTAs that he was doing. I think that I don't think that it's terrible. I don't think that running back position is terrible. I just
NFL rankings. And I think
they got him low.
They got him 32nd.
Yeah. No, listen. I said it since the draft. You remember how pissed I was at the draft that they waited until the 5th round to draft a running back. I thought they should have drafted a running back in the first 3 rounds, and I stand by it. I feel like there was starting caliber running backs in the first 3 rounds, and that's 2 drafts in a row that it's happened. And then there's free agent running backs that they could have drafted for whatever reason. It's almost like this, there's that group out there on Twitter that says running backs don't matter. The running backs don't matter group. There's a group of them guys that, they talk about, running backs don't matter. It's offensive lines, this, it's that. Get on your radar. I disagree. I disagree. And, the main reason that I disagree, and if I'm presenting my case to the judge right here, is the Philadelphia Eagles. They had a great offensive line. Yeah, they got a good offensive line, but they also got one of the best running backs in the league, definitely top 3, no matter how you want to cut it, top 3. And look what it did for them. You look at Detroit. You look at how much better and how much easier things got for Jared Goff when they got 2 stout running backs in Montgomery and Gibbs. You look around the league. Look at the Ravens, how much easier things got for Lamar Jackson when they got Derrick Henry. Just anywhere that you can point to. You point to the Falcons, and they had some success behind what I would call pretty shitty quarterback play last year. They a lot more terrible than what they thought they were going to get with Kirk Cousins. He didn't play up to the level they thought, but with Bijan running the ball, they were still pretty competitive in a lot of games. So I think it does matter who you have behind center at running back. I think it does. I don't think you can just throw out a bunch of, nobodies out there, have a great offensive line and think it's going to work out for you. So I'm not real confident in our running backs right now. I mean, I'd say my confidence level is probably about a 6. My two areas of concern, biggest areas of concern, defensive tackle and then running back. And I have a lot of confidence in this offensive line, but I think what it's going to force us to do is if we don't really have a stout running game, it's going to force Dak Prescott to pass the ball a lot. And like you said, that's not necessarily a winning formula, but at the same time, I'm getting this feeling, and again, it's just my feeling. I'm getting this feeling that Dak Prescott's going to have a huge season, and I'm talking about 4,900 yards, maybe an eclipse the 5,000 mark, and talking 40 plus touchdowns. I think he can have that kind of season because I think that this offensive line gives him that time to throw, and the running game is not as good as we need it to be, we might have to rely on Dak Prescott a little bit more. Now, will that bode for our overall success when it comes to the playoffs? Probably not. But I'm saying I think Dak Prescott can end up having a really, really big season this year, and I think that that's probably the way that it's going to go if we don't address that running back position and snag somebody, whether it be via trade or getting somebody off of a roster cut come training camp.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is you still got Blue, who's a game breaker, and you got Turpin that you could create a running game with short passes too. I mean, if they don't have the between the tackle guys, the problem is, it's going to come down to Javonte Williams is really the X factor. Him and Maffa, one of the two of them have got to be the Marion Barber, the guy that can grind it out, man.
Third and two.
Yeah, you kill that clock with a lead. Otherwise, if you get that pass happy and you give the other team opportunities to get the ball more, we know our defense isn't built like the Ravens or like the great defenses that are around there. They're going to give up points. I mean, the secondary, it's going to be questionable. I think we got the pass rush, but if you don't have the secondary, that's, if the pass rush gets in trouble and doesn't get to the quarterback and the quarterback has some time, or if he can move around the pocket and he can buy time, it's going to make it very, very difficult on our secondary. I think that's one of the bigger problems that we have on our defense. I think defensive tackle, I think there's issues, but I'm hoping that Eberflus with his scheme is going to have something to make run defense top 15. How about 15? Yeah. I'll take that.
I'll take top 15. Yeah, absolutely. I'll take top 15 versus, almost dead last. I think last year, they were 26th or 20 or 29th, or they were towards the bottom of the league. I think they were 29th.
They had a Washington for all those guys that think Quinn's this mastermind defensive guy. The run defense in Washington sucked too, and it's sucked in.
Yeah, was Washington's run defense, were they dead last?
They were like, I look at yards per carry more than I look at yards, because if you're ahead, they're passing the ball, right? The other teams are passing. Their yards per carry was the worst in the NFL. So
yeah. Okay. Well, because I knew Dallas was. I was trying to remember if Dallas was 26th or 29th versus the run. I want to say 29th. I want to say they were 29th. I mean,
Dallas could have been pretty low because they were behind a lot. Teams were just running all over them because they.
They'd get an early lead, and then they could just run the ball on Dallas at will, which, I mean, a lot of teams did. It was pretty crazy how many 100 plus yard games they gave up last year. So, but yeah, I mean, I think you're right about Javonte Williams, though, and and for everything he's saying, he's saying all the right things, that he feels good, he's healthy, and feels as healthy as he's felt in a long time, which is a good thing. And he's coming back from multiple knee injuries, and finally got a full off season to come back and be healthy. And listen, he's a guy that's shown flashes. He showed flashes in Denver, and you saw that this guy, if he can stay healthy, that this guy can be a guy who could be a starting running back in the NFL. You know what I mean? I know that a lot of Denver fans were really excited about him, and
I loved him out of the draft, man. I loved
they
him.
did, and I think I've talked to several Broncos fans that I know that have told me that that they were disappointed to see him leave, that they wanted him to stick around and kind of see what he could do healthy. They're like, listen, if he stays healthy, he's going to be a great running back for you. So it'll be interesting to see what he can bring to the table this year. And I hope like hell that he comes back to his rookie form and we see that out of him, because if we can get that out of him, then maybe we might just be better than what people think at that running back position. But my thing is this, Mike. Every year though, they have these preseason rankings and they're always wrong.
Yeah.
I don't really pay attention to none of these lists, none of these rankings, power rankings, all this shit, because none of it means a damn thing. July 8th, July 9th, whatever today is, July 9th, 8th, whatever. None of that means shit today. You know what I mean? It don't, because
it makes for good content when we're trying
it's content. It's
talk about.
content, discussion, debate, entertainment. That's all that it is, because nobody really knows what any of these teams are going to be. I mean, even Philadelphia, we all look at Philadelphia and we say, okay, you know what? Philadelphia is a team that should contend for the NFCs, right? Philadelphia should be a team that's going to be a contender in the playoffs because they have a pretty complete team, right? All it takes is for Saquon Barkley to get hurt. Let Saquon Barkley get hurt, and then maybe one of their offensive linemen go down, or maybe one of their stud DBs go down, or Jalen Carter goes down with an injury. All it takes is a couple of injuries or an injury at the quarterback position. Jalen Hurts goes down.
Yeah.
I mean, if something like that happens, it changes the trajectory of the team. And it happens every year. We see it happen every year. And we see teams that are predicted to be really good that are not as good as what they were last year. And then we see teams that weren't predicted to be really good that look at the Minnesota Vikings last year. They're a perfect example. They were a middle of the road team the year before. Then all of a sudden they come out, Sam Darnold comes out, and boom, they're winning 13 games, I think they won last year. So it's one of those things where nobody really knows where we're going to be, what we're going to be. We'll get a better idea come preseason.
Yeah, it's usually like 3 or 4 games in the season. You'll start to kind of feel where your team's at.
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to touch on this, and Danny brought it up, and talking about the Commanders quarterback. So, who was it? Chris Canty, former Cowboy, former Giant. He's on ESPN. I catch him sometimes in the morning getting ready for work, and they had him ranked the top 5 wide receiver quarterback pair, not receiving core, 1 receiver, one quarterback. So I don't know if you watched it. I'm going to say you didn't. Give me your top 5 that you
top 5 quarterback, wide receiver,
wide receiver combo.
All right,
gotta be a combo, 1 and 1.
So
and maybe
I'm gonna say Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Will say Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
I will go. You know what?
If you need any help, let me know, and I'll.
I'm gonna actually say. Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown because I think that's a great connection. Then I'll go. I want to say Justin Jefferson, but his quarterback's lacking, so I can't go there with the Vikings. I gotta leave them out of it. Trying to think around the league. Oh, I'm gonna go Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans.
Okay.
I'll go that with my 4th.
Yeah.
And then my 5th would be.
It's tough.
Yeah, I don't know who my 5th would be right now.
You think of the top receivers in the NFL, you kind of you want to throw.
Yeah, I would say I see somebody said Goff to St. Brown. I would probably say that as number 5. That's a good one. Yeah, probably Jared Goff and St. Brown.
All right. So you named a lot that were in the top 5. And I'll say Dak Prescott, number 3. Dak Prescott to CeeDee Lamb was ranked number 3.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown was ranked number 2.
Okay.
Jamar Chase and Burrow, I believe, were ranked 4 or 5.
Oh, wow.
I'm missing one of the
I
guys.
thought they would have been number 1.
Well, number 1 is in our division.
Oh God, it's the is there's did they say if they said Jaden Daniels to anybody, then that's
Jaden Daniels and McLaren,
McLaurin.
number 1 wide receiver.
No, they're not in my
Blows
top
my
5.
mind. I mean, is that for clicks? Is that for like we've seen this
That's
play
not.
out? And I'm not saying Jaden Daniels isn't good, but we saw it with C.J. Stroud. You saw it, with quarterbacks coming off a rookie year, and now they've got them ranked as top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, and this and that. And I mean, do you? I didn't even have them in my top 5.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't. I definitely don't have those two in my top 5. I mean, was McLaurin even a top 5 receiver last year?
No, I don't. He was bragging that he had 9 touchdowns, which I'm thinking that's okay. It's not
So I
bad.
mean, because to me, what I would look at there is I would look and see who the top 5 receivers were, and I think that those are the guys that you would go with. Which, like I said, the only reason Jefferson's not in there is because I don't really have much faith in J.J. McCarthy as of yet. But
Yeah.
Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow to me is number 1. Those two that's a pretty much dynamic duo, and then for me, second has got to be Dak and CD because I've got CD as a top 3 receiver. However you want to put it, Chase, Jamar Chase, Jefferson, and CD. You can argue 1, 2, 3 with those guys all you want. Me personally, I would take CD Lamb over all of them. And I mean, my reasoning on that is just I just CD. I think he's got the acrobatic catches. The way he can move inside out, play in the slot, move to the outside. That's why I got him over everybody else. Plus, it's Dallas Cowboys, so I got a little bit of bias. But understand the argument either way. But yeah, I mean, I don't have McLaurin as a top 5 receiver, and so I don't.
Yeah, I Puka was one that they talked about, but he didn't put him on there.
Stafford and Nakua, yeah.
Did they get Adams? Like, just wondering how that's going to work out. But I was just surprised. I was surprised how high Jaden Daniels has risen as one of the top quarterbacks within one season. It's just, I watched it, and looks like a really good young quarterback, and I think he's got a lot of potential, and the sky's the limit, and he could be a problem for us in the division. I just got to see it a little bit more, and CeeDee Lamb to me is far and above. I don't even think it's close between McLaurin, and it's nothing against him. I just think CeeDee's that good. And
I think McLaurin's a good receiver.
Dak is a much better passer. He doesn't have the running that Daniels or Hurts has, but he's a better passer. I'll argue that to the day I die. He's a better throwing quarterback than those two.
Yeah, and like I said, I think McLaurin, it's not that I'm taking anything away from him. I don't think he's a bad receiver, but I mean, he's, in my opinion, he's not a top. I don't think he's a top 5 receiver.
Yeah.
Not Terry McLaurin. No.
So I don't get it. So I just say that was one of the things that was kind of tricky. And then I saw, and I think that's where you said everything's all over the board, because I saw top 10 quarterbacks, and some had Jaden Daniels top 5. Some didn't even have Dak Prescott, didn't have Jalen Hurts in the top 10, which, I mean, I guess you can argue it if you want. A lot of them had Dak kind of like in the bottom tier of rankings, like, 9 or 10. And I don't think you can argue that spot coming off injuries and this and that, but it's all over the board with these guys. And then your guy gets a lot of disrespect all of a sudden. They're hating on the dad bod that is. I mean,
that's funny to me that it's a goddamn radio analyst sitting on his fat ass talking about a guy that's won 3 Super Bowls. I mean, get the Fuck out of here, man. Look, Mahomes has been looking like that for forever. I mean, he's had that same physique for a long time. I mean, he literally, I think it was last year, they were tweeting about it, and Mahomes was like, damn, they caught me off guard in that pick. I mean, none of that is going to take away. I mean, Mahomes. I feel like I bet you if he got weighed, he probably hasn't gained any weight. He probably weighs the exact same. His body looks the same. Mahomes has never been a guy who was chiseled. Even when he was in college football, he was never one of the quarterbacks like kind of Dak Prescott got a very muscular physique, right? You have some, I'd say maybe like Lamar Jackson, kind of a little bit slender type physique or whatever. But you've always had them quarterbacks kind of a bigger build, you know what I mean? And Mahomes is built like a regular guy, you know what I mean? You see quarterbacks like that all the time. He's still
Peyton
the
Manning. I mean, you got Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, Tom
yeah,
Brady.
that's what I'm saying. Look at them dudes. Them dudes don't look like no damn peak performance athletes, but there was, Peyton Manning anyway was one of the best quarterbacks of his time, and Mahomes is legit. The guy's won 3 damn Super Bowls, man. You can't tell me nothing about that, man. And he's been to what? He's won 3. He's been to 5. He's basically been in the Super Bowl every year since he started playing football. So look, I'm not worried about Patrick Mahomes. And in fact, we talked about it. We talked about the Chiefs and how people were kind of ranking the Chiefs and everything. And I saw an interview not that long ago with Mahomes. And he was talking about how excited he is about these receivers that he's got this year to throw to, and that he thinks that he's going to be able to sling the ball a little bit more. Having the guys that he's got second year with Xavier Worthy, and then you've got Rashee Rice coming back healthy, and he likes what he's got, and I think he will. I think Mahomes will have a big year this year. I think he'll also be a guy that's going to have a better season than what he did last year because he was dealing with some injuries to his receiving crew last year, but. Yeah, man, I think that's silly, man, for people to whenever people start talking about guys' bodies and how they look. I saw somebody saying that about Trayvon Diggs. They're like, man, dude's been in the NFL for how many years and doesn't look like he's got a shred of muscle on him. You know what I mean? Because he's just got a very slender build. But I'm like, look, the dude's one of the best cornerbacks in the league. I don't care if he looks like he's he looks like he's a guy that goes into the gym or not. I don't care about that. Can he play football? Yes, he can. You know what I mean? Yeah. Muscles don't mean nothing.
No, I mean, how many busts were there in the NFL that guys that were just ripped up and looked like, Greek gods and with their shirts off, but when it came down to playing football, it was like, that ain't happening.
It's like some of these guys look pretty tough, and then other of these guys just kind of you look at them, they may not seem like much, but they're they'll go out and they'll blow your socks off with how athletic they are. You know what I mean? Because they're born and they have these God-given gifts to be the players that they are. You know what I mean? I think a lot of those guys are just born with it. It's in their DNA and their genetics. Doesn't mean they got to look like a Greek god when they're doing it. It's kind of like the video we saw the other day, the one guy that looks like he's a tough guy with the tattoos all on his arm. He looks like he's and then he gets just absolutely mauled by a guy that just looks like one of them big old corn fed. I don't know if you know that was an ex-NHL player, hockey player.
He was the enforcer.
Enforcer.
He grabbed his shirt. I'm like, all right, he's boom, and he's doing the sound effects.
Bang
for the Panthers. Bang, bang. It was just like, stop.
Oh man, you picked a fight with the wrong one, man. The wrong one. That dude was pretty big though, too. He was pretty big.
Let's think about it. I mean, and if you guys don't know what we're talking about, I mean, you got to. It was all over social media and the fight that at the golf course in Canada, because you can tell. I mean, look, no one. If anyone comes after you, right? I'm not gonna. However big they are, I'm defending myself, and I'm going to do my damnedest to survive, whatever it takes. But I sure the hell am not going to call out and go looking for trouble with a guy that's about 3 times the size of me. I mean, is that?
No. That's just
being a puss for saying that. I mean, at some
point, it's survival instincts, man. That's survival instincts. That's It's like I told you, in a situation like that, you either got to swallow your pride or swallow your teeth, one of the two, because you're probably going to get I mean, look, I've heard people say, size doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And I get that. I've seen smaller guys knock out bigger guys. I have seen that. But listen, I'm 6'3", 200, 225, 230 pounds. If a dude that's 6'5" and that dude's about 270, I'm probably just gonna do whatever I can to de-escalate the situation. Again, I'm like you. If he's coming for me, then I've got to defend myself. Then I'm gonna go down swinging, and we'll find out what's gonna happen. But I'm not going to be the instigator in a
And that
fight
guy
with a
was the
dude that much bigger than me. I'm
yeah.
just not.
No.
Just not. No, I absolutely. And not only that, the dude that was talking all that shit, and he was drunk. I mean, the guy
Yeah.
was drunk. If I'm also, that's the other thing too. If I'm drunk and I know that I'm highly intoxicated, I'm walking away from that all day, man. Like get the hell out of here with that. That's just ridiculous. So guy got what he deserved.
No, he did. He did. It was funny. It was
Bang,
funny as hell,
bang.
but it was cool because I didn't know who the guy was, right? You just
I
saw
didn't
it.
either. No.
And then it comes out he's a hockey, and then you start watching everything, and you watch him get the shirt. The instincts came out, and then he tossed him. Usually you see the hockey guys that gave him the old throw,
Yep.
and it was, oh my god, it was so funny. I mean,
Boy, that last one when he threw him, I mean, dude, he threw the guy about a good 5 yards before the guy landed. Because when he landed, I mean, you heard it land like kind of some wind coming out of him. He just chunked the hell out of him, boy. That was funny as hell.
A friend though. Did you see the friend? The guy didn't have. He gave him a good shove, and the dude wasn't. The friend was kind of like trying to retreat and just
Yeah.
Please don't hit me, kind of thing. He was
right. No. And that's the thing too, is that that very last throw that he chunked the guy on, man. He did the guy a favor, because he could have went back at him and hit him again. Could have finished the job, probably knocked him out, but he decided instead, take him and throw him or whatever. that was just funny, man. Sometimes you write a check your butt can't cash. So be careful out there, people, when you're picking a fight with somebody. Don't let that beer make you feel 10 feet tall and bulletproof, because trust me, you're not.
I'd rather be an alive coward than a dead hero. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right. That's right. Damn right.
Trouble. There's no reason for it, but it was funny. But yeah, not to change the subject, but looking back, at the Cowboys, it just made me think a little bit. Toughness, right? I mean, that guy was a tough guy. He's an enforcer on a hockey team, which those guys are about as tough as can be. The attitude with this team, and I think the one thing that has been the Achilles heel for this Cowboys team is toughness, right?
Yeah.
Teams, you heard them on when we play, and Fox has the audio going, and let's knock these front runners in the mouth, or let's run it down their throat, let's embarrass them, they're soft and this and that, challenging their manhood. What do you think about this Cowboys team with the moves they've made? You see Parsons growing in leadership. You get these other. Do you feel that this team has got a chance to have that identity to be a tough team, a team that's not going to take shit from people, that will fight back, that will, inflict the pain rather than take it?
Yeah, they're starting to get there. I don't know that they're completely there yet, because I think that mentality really has. I honestly, with a lot of it, I think that's something that is kind of ingrained in you through your childhood. You know what I mean? Like Michael Irvin, we talked about it many a times, man.
Yeah.
Grew up in a rough neighborhood, bunch of siblings, grew up and just grew up rough, fighting. And, grew up rough. Right. So I think a lot of that is kind of ingrained in you. You know what I mean? Some people are just kind of docile. And and it's crazy to think that a football player could be docile, because, it's a violent sport. Right. But some of them just are, you know what I mean? Some of them just aren't that, that don't really have that. But I do think we're getting some of it in. I think that, George Pickens, I think, is kind of one of those guys that ain't going to, we saw it with the Jordan Lewis thing. I mean, when I saw it, I remember thinking that was kind of a, punk move by Pickens, but he wasn't going to let somebody walk out there and kind of celebrate on him. He yanked him down by the helmet. And say what you want. Sometimes you need some of that dirty. Sometimes you need some of that nasty. Sometimes you need one of them guys to say, hey, not today. Not with me, not on this field, you know what I mean? And then I think we got some of that in Cooper Beebe. I think he's kind of a guy that's a mauler. I think he's kind of got a little bit of a nastiness in him. You've got, Booker. You look at what his interview post NFL draft. I mean, what he said was still, I still get chills hearing that little clip, and it makes me, it just kind of brings all them hairs to stand up on the back of my neck. I think we do kind of have some of those guys, but it's also a mentality. You know what I mean? That you got to make it a mentality. I know that, and not to switch gears on another team, but one of the things that I used to that I love, absolutely love about Texas Tech's basketball coach Grant McCaslin is he has this mantra, and it's toughest team wins. And that's been his thing. He writes it on the chalk. Toughest team wins. And you go out and you watch them play, and they've adopted that philosophy. They've really taken it to heart to go out there and to be the toughest team. Whether that means diving for balls, whether that means taking a hard taking a hard foul, whatever it may be. And that's what Schottenheimer, I'm hoping, him and his staff, Eberflus and stuff, starts to ingrain on this team is that you have to be physical. You have to be tough. You have to bring the fight to the opposing team every single Sunday, every single down. You know what I mean? Like our boy C's says, man, what does it say? One shift at a time, one period at a time, one game at a time. It's one down at a time, one play at a time, one game at a time. That's what the Cowboys, the kind of philosophy that they need to adopt. And be physical with it. Don't let somebody come in there and bully you or punch you in the mouth. If somebody punches you in the mouth, you kick them in the nuts and then punch them in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? They just have to. They can't be one of these finesse teams. They can't be one of these, soft around the edges team. They just got to go out and be physical and be hard.
Yeah. And I think it starts with the offensive line. If they want an identity, and that could be, it's contagious. You talked about Beebe. You talked about Booker. I mean, Tyler Smith's no joke. That interior of our offensive line has a chance to be dominant, nasty, physical, and that can be contagious on down the line, and it's infectious to the defense as well and to the rest of the squad. I think the Pickens move, you got to have, I think that's the one thing the Cowboys were lacking is you got to have some dogs out there that, they live on the edge. It's what I talk about even in my line of work. I mean, typically in sales and, you're working, in outside sales and this and that, your best salespeople, they're lone wolves, man. They live on the edge. They live on the edge, and you got to kind of let them live on the edge a little bit. It can't be black and white. You got to have gray, because in the gray is where they make shit happen. And I think with football, you got to have some guys that live on the edge.
Yeah.
And they're going to be emotional. Now, you got to control that emotion. I use Michael Irvin as the example. He was emotional, but he never let that impact the outcome of games. He never let that impact negatively on his team. He used that emotion as motivation and as to get his guys. I mean, you have yet to find anyone who played with Michael Irvin on any level, high school, college, or pro, say that he wasn't one of the best teammates and the hardest working guy on the team. I yet to find one. Go find one. It'll be the first one I've heard. But he was on the edge. I mean, he was a little, he was the playmaker, but he lived a lifestyle too. So I think that's what Pickens, hopefully can bring, but they've got to get more of that on the defense. And I think the missing piece is the defensive tackle. And I think the defensive tackle is a guy, when you see I hate to say it, but Jalen Carter, when he started to take over that game in the Super Bowl and into the playoffs and late, I mean, it was infectious to the team, and it gets you motivated. You see that guy going in there and slamming the running back or getting to the quarterback or doing whatever. I think that's the area that I hope the Cowboys have a plan for that defensive tackle, but that's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, you hope to see that, you want to see that. It's just something that's got to be instilled in your players. And and when you talk about playing in that gray, hopefully that those Cowboys players just play in the gray and don't fuck around and do what Kevontae Turpin did and go try to live in the gray, because then you're in orange because you're going to jail.
We didn't talk about Turpin with you. We talked about it on Monday's show. So I know it's older news.
Bonehead.
But like when you see that, it was. I mean, like
Well, this is strike two for me. This is strike two for me. The first strike was when he was planning the after party for the Green Bay game. You know what I mean? Plan that out. advertising that they're going to have an after party. That was one of the first ones because it's just like, dude, come on, man. Like, go out and win the game first. You're sitting there thinking about a goddamn party. Like,
Yeah.
dude, go out there and focus on the damn game, man. How about that? How about focus on getting a win and not getting bitch slapped all around the field? And now, you've got him out there with weed and gun. And listen, I'm not one to judge anybody for their lifestyles, but God damn it, I mean, you're
Put it home.
you're a millionaire, man. Dude, leave your weed at home or have a fall guy. Have a guy that's riding with you that can take the blame. I mean, I've heard other NFL players say it before. Have yourself a fall guy, man, that he's got the damn weed and the gun on him. And then another thing, too, is that you're an NFL. Why the hell do you have an illegal gun anyway? It's Texas. Goddamn 12-year-olds can walk around with a fucking gun there.
I got clarification on it because we had a law, and I don't know. I don't live in Texas. I didn't law. The reason, because Texas, you can carry. I mean,
Yeah. I know you can't carry intoxicated or with drugs.
With drugs, that's why he got that charge, is because they had drugs in the car, and if you have a weapon in the car with drugs.
So was the gun registered though? Because what I had read initially, and again, like you, I don't know 100% sure. What I had read was that it was an unlawful firearm, which typically doesn't necessarily mean, because they'll have possession of a firearm with marijuana. Yes, that is a charge. You'll catch a charge for that. But what I read was it said it was an unlawful firearm, which made me think that he had an unregistered firearm, because that's what that would be if it's unregistered. Which again, like I said, if you got an unregistered firearm in the state of Texas, then you're a goddamn idiot. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like I said, listen, you got fucking, kids are born with guns in Texas.
A holster in the street.
You just walk down the street with a goddamn 6-shooter. So, it just, to me, it's just one of those things where it's like, we got a new coach. We got a new regime in here, and it's just like, goddamn, come on, man. Can we get through an off season without having something like this happen? And it just seems like it always happens to the Cowboys.
Real quick, because I did, Garland had a question, and I want to make sure we talk about it. But with Turpin, what I said is this is a kind of a first test for Schottenheimer. You haven't really heard much about it. I mean, how do you think he should handle this situation internally? Do you think they should do some kind of discipline that is leveled down, that's going to be public? I mean, what do you think? Because it's not, they're misdemeanors, and I get it. I know, Rick, and it's not like he didn't go beat, a woman up.
Yeah.
Anyone. It was just bonehead, like he said. So what kind of discipline should it be handled in house, or do you think a message needs to be sent?
So me personally, what I would do is, like, I would keep it in house. I wouldn't say what's happening. I would let maybe let the media know that we have handled and addressed the Turpin situation within the building. He understands that these are not the expectations. These are not the standards of the Dallas Cowboys. But I'd have that motherfucker running wind sprints until he dropped dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, from fatigue. Every single practice, I'd be like, at the end of the practice, it's like, all right, you're going and running wind sprint. You're running wind sprints for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? And that's what you're going to do that for the next month. And every practice we have, when the practice is over, you're running. You know what I mean? Something along those lines, because I don't think that it warrants a suspension. I don't think it's anything it's that major that it warrants him being suspended for a game or anything. But I do think that you gotta send a message to your team that's not acceptable either. That, look, we ain't gonna, you guys, you play for one of the most recognizable brands in America, in the world, really. We expect better out of you. Don't be a bonehead. Don't draw unnecessary attention. Let's put the bullshit to the side and, watch what you're doing. Be aware. You know what I mean? Be aware. Have some awareness out there.
Absolutely. And just we're getting up against the clock a little bit, but Garland asked, hey, how do we support the tailgate party? And I was going to have Cuts on, and I sent him a message, but I don't know, maybe something's up. But I guess he's not going to be able to join us. But if you guys remember last year, and we'll post some stuff on our social media so you'll be able to see it. But last year he did like a bottle opener. It was really cool. His Cowboys Cave. And
I actually got mine real quick on the wall. I'll grab it. Hold on, right quick.
And so we did it, and it was a great opportunity to where you get something and you buy it. All the money goes to the tailgate party for the expenses, and you're getting some in return. And we had a lot of people that got one and they got it signed. Kelly was like me. We forgot. We're running around just talking to everyone. We forgot to get people to sign it, but you can get it signed and kind of commemorate the great event. So he's doing something similar, but it's going to be like a paddle, and it's going to have Cowboys Cave on it. And I think, I don't want to speak for him, but I think you could put like a custom message on the back, or, if you want to put your name.
Custom on the back, up to seven letters.
There you go.
That you can customize. And so, we have, he's got a couple of really good examples. He's actually going to be sending some stuff out. I know he's sending you, Mike, yours, and then mine. He's sending them. We'll be able to show you guys on the show what those look like. They're going to be super cool, though. It'll be something that you want to have. It's something that you can keep in your man cave, that you can keep. I keep mine.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. If you could see it, that's what it looks like. It's hard to see the design because of the glare, but it says Cowboys Cave on it. It's really cool. You'll be able to get it signed, so you can order it, and we'll get you the details. We got plenty of time, but you can donate through cash apps and all that kind of stuff, or you can bring a few bucks when you come. If you don't have any money, come anyway. We're not asking for money. We're footing the bill, and because it's a great time and it's worth it to me.
Absolutely.
And channel. So it's not necessary, but at least you get something in return. We've got a great, product that Cuts is doing, and he does phenomenal work. So definitely look for that.
Absolutely, man. It's going to be a good time. Looking forward to it, and can't wait to see everybody out there.
Yeah. So anyway, it'll be good, and we're going to have a great time on the tailgate. So if you guys are up in the air, you're not sure what game to go to, I know the Packer game, it's a little pricey. That's a hot ticket, but you have a couple options. They always do standing room only, so you can get tickets cheap. Or I know Cuts and some people are going to be hanging out at the tailgate for the game, so you could watch. You can hang out with some of the crew and watch the game there. So anyway, definitely try and make it if you can. It's going to be a great time. We got tailgate of the day through the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
we had a bunch of fun. You could see kind of the pictures next to Kelly Mai's name. That was some of the stuff from the tailgate. It was a lot of fun, man. Now we didn't win, but we won the year before, so we're 1-1. This is the third one. Something's got to give, and what better way is it to be at the tailgate, come out happy, beating the goddamn Green Bay Packers, who have been a nemesis and a thorn in our side the last year. The opportunity to get revenge and the opportunity to kind of finally get over the hump of beating these guys. It will be so sweet. It'll be so sweet.
Absolutely, man. I can't wait. It's one of the highlights of the year for me. I know I'm pretty sure for you and for Cuts and for everybody else that comes. It's just it's a great time, man, to get together with a bunch of passionate Cowboys fans and talk football, talk life, eat good food, drink beer, you know what I mean? And just have a good time, man. And it's a great time. Both years were a huge success. I think, what did we have? Did we hold down 3 spots last year? Or was it 2?
Spots, I think it was 3 spots last year. So
I think we held down 3 spots. So I think, we it seems to grow every year. So I mean, we might be holding down 4 spots this year. But I mean, it's awesome. It's a fun time. Everybody that comes out talks about how much fun they had. You get to meet a lot of people, Cowboys fans. A lot of them that are out there at the tailgate are not from Dallas, Texas. A lot of these people are flying in, driving in, coming from out of state. And so it's cool to be able to meet a lot of these guys and then be able to try the food. Cuts is out there doing his thing, always just amazing. And then we got Doug out there, he cooked. And I know Jeff, we had to come out there and he cooked. And I mean, so you got all kinds of good stuff to eat, good stuff to drink, and good company and good conversation. So looking forward to seeing everybody out there this year.
Yeah, and like I said, you can stay. And I'm telling you, there's some people that roll solo. Don't be like, man, I can't bring 2 people. I just go myself. Come yourself. I mean, it's family. So if you roll up by yourself, you ain't going to be alone. All of us are there. It's a great time. And I'm just telling you, I've never been part of an event that everyone is just so nice Everyone is so friendly. And you could be a fan of the Packers. And, if you got a buddy, you're going with the Packers fan, bring them along. As long as if it's good shit talking and stuff, man, that's what it's all about. No one's going to cry. You can make fun of us. You beat us in the playoffs, embarrassed. We got to deal with it, man. That shit happened. We can't hide from it. But just make sure that when you dish it out and we whoop that ass and you're coming out to the post tailgate party, you're going to get an earful. Just take it with a smile, just like we would have to. So that's the way it goes. So it'll be a great time, man. It's going to be cool and looking forward to it. And like I said, I think we got George Teague. I'm just waiting for him to confirm. He said next week should be good, hopefully. So we're going to get George Teague in the house. We got a lot to catch up on with everything he's got going on. And then obviously he's got a lot of insight to the Cowboys, doing a great job with CBS pregame and stuff like that with the local channel there. So we'll get up to date with him, and then we'll get moving on. We've got our fan of the month the following week. And I mean, Kelly, I think training camp starts right around there. So we're rolling.
It does. We're going to have plenty to talk about once that goes on.
Yeah. So definitely check it out. You guys have a great weekend. Obviously, always be safe. Enjoy it. Kelly, I'll give you the final word, and then we'll get out of here so I can watch I'm watching Kings of Mayor of Kingstown. That's it.
Man, I was going to say, I knew where you were going with that.
Trying to figure it out. Just started watching. Watched the first episode, crazy as shit. So I'm like, I got to see what happens next.
Yeah, well, for anybody that hasn't seen it, there's a new one called Waterfront that's pretty good too. I like that one too. It's a pretty good one. It's kind of on the line of Ozarks. It's a good show. But so for anybody looking for a new good show, that's another good one to watch. But yeah, no, just thanks for everybody turning up to the show tonight, coming into the chat, bringing in the good conversation as always, man. We love you guys, man. We can't do what we do without you. So this channel ain't nothing without y'all. So thanks for tuning in. If you're new to the show, please like, subscribe, and hit that little notification bell to let you know every time we come on. One of our longtime listeners, Mark, had no idea that you could click the bell. We literally had to show him that down at Cut's house. I mean, shame on him. He's been following us forever and didn't know. That's how you know when we're going live. You hit the little notification bell. So do that if you would. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the love, man, and looking forward to seeing all you guys at the Green Bay game.
Yeah, and Dan, we'll see our fan of the month in a couple weeks. Appreciate all the support, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you later. Peace out.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.
Well, you made it through the whole show, man.